Quarter, Texas with possession and the lead. Arch Manning keeps it himself, and he's got nothing but chattel, real estate. He popped the clutch. Happy New Year, Longhorns! Touchdown!
What's up, Matt? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep. We are live. All right. I'm going to start. All right. Happy Transfer Portal Day. Welcome to the Longhorn fan, maybe, or you're just a long college football fan. Welcome to our live stream post bowl game reaction show. I'm Tony and he is Mac, and we are the Longhorn armchair analysts. Woo! Mac, you caught your breath from all the games we've seen from the past 2 days. I mean, wow, man. I love college football, right? So before we get to that, more importantly, our beloved Longhorns end the season 10-3 with the 41-27 win over Michigan Wolverines in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl down in Orlando. Before getting into the game, I want us to describe what the season has been like.
Yeah, so, when you look at, the game or the season as a whole, it had its turbulence. It had its up and downs. It had its momentum swings. And the biggest thing that I think it showcased is our ability to be resilient as a team throughout the season, and just battle, right? No matter the hype that was or was not around the team, the negativity that was or wasn't around the team based on their play early in the season. I think the team really grew together as a team to come together holistically to finish with that 10-3 record. It speaks pretty high volumes of themselves. And when you look at, some of these bowl games and the way they're going, both Texas and Michigan showed up and put on a show, which is exactly what both of them wanted to do, was put on a show. Texas had some momentum swing plays in the game that kind of swung it a little bit more favorable their way. But really, outside that game, last night's Georgia Ole Miss game was probably the best game so far.
Yeah, I think I texted you late last night. Is like the SEC knows how to play each other, but when they go out and play other conferences, they kind of just crap the bed, man. I don't understand. I don't understand Alabama's play. And Georgia actually came out to play. Right? They're the one by team that came out physical and stuff like that. So overall, I was okay. I was okay that Texas Tech lost, and I was okay that Alabama lost. I'm not a SEC chanting type of guy. I root for my Longhorns and anyone that goes against the Longhorns, right? So, but it's all in good play. The Longhorns, I think they looked good, man. You can't sit there and tell me bowl games don't matter. Michigan came out to play. They played physical. They wanted a 10-win season, and they wanted to show, hey, they're a blue blood program, and we're going to play like a blue blood. It doesn't matter who's coaching us, right? There are some 4 or 5-star athletes on that team, and they played with pride. So kudos to Michigan, and I think that program with Willingham is they're going to be okay. They're going to be all right. Hey, some real quick notes about the end of the season and things like that. Arch Manning, he threw his way into the record books at Texas. So he now is the 11th all-time single season leading passer with 3,163 with 3,163 passing yards. Almost cracked Vince Young to make the top 10. So first year starter, that's great. This is the third straight 10-win season that the Longhorns have had. That again, that's one of the things we were playing for, right? And then Colin Simmons with that sack. All right, I'm gonna dig a little bit. Colin Simmons moves to number 3 in the nation, or excuse me, tied for 4th in the nation in sacks, and he now becomes the number 1 sack leader in the SEC. Right? Cassius Howell did not record a sack in his bowl game, so kudos to Colin Simmons. I'm pretty sure he's going to get paid based off of that stat, right? Coming back. So yeah, my overall thoughts of the game was, what I saw. It was good play from young guys. Arch balled out like we knew he was going to do, and saw some really good things from young players. Khalid Lockett, we'll talk a little bit more about him later on, but I think my overall assessment of where this team is going to go or ended up in 2025 is Manning doesn't give a damn now. He don't care what people think. I think Sark now trusts Arch Manning to open up the playbook. They're taking a lot more deep shots. Arch is trusting his pocket presence, whether he stays in the pocket, scrambles around, and he's throwing dimes down the field, right? Whether the receivers catch it or not, hey man, that's a flip of a coin. But really good things. What else you got, Matt?
Yeah, so overall, when you look at the game, we'll start on the Michigan side. I think that team showed a lot of resilience. We talk about that last second coaching changes that they had, the way their season ended. But for that interim coach to come in and just rely back on his, they kind of talked about in the game, rely back on his high school days and understanding that they're just people at the end of the day, and being able to hear them out and, what do they need from him and stuff like that. I think that really helped that team show up and show out the way they did, but when you look at Texas, they flew around. About the only phase of the game they didn't really fly around on was special teams, which is the oddball of the season. But they played a pretty complete offensive and defensive game. There was the tit for tat. The I got your play, you got my play type thing. But overall, that team kind of rallied towards the end to really showcase how they wanted to end that season.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to our first question here. What do you think the biggest impact on Texas finishing with the record they did?
Yeah, so I think when you look at that, I think that comes down to my take. Everybody wants to probably point at Arch right away, but I'm looking at that Ant Hill. I'm looking at that Anthony Hill, who, he was that defensive leader for that team. He was a culture guy. We've talked about it before. He's a culture-driven guy. He was there through the highs, the lows. And I think he kept that team together, and he rallied that team when that team needed rallied. And he's one of those defensive voices that when it's time to get that defense to stop and stand up and support the offense, he's there. And then when you look at it, Colin Simmons made a good point at one of the games when they said Coach Sark said that this was a defensive show and they saved the offense. He said what? He goes, no, it's a 3-phase game. We got all of each other's backs. I don't think he meant that. What I think he meant is the offense has the defense backs, the defense has the offense backs, and special teams has all of our backs. He understands that it's not just a one-sided effort. And I think when you have those types of voices, I think that's why the record's the way the record is.
Yeah, man. I'm going to reference, the coach before Sarkisian came in and how the two different cultures, right, and how we had, if you remember Caden Stearns and some of those guys, we had guys that were tweeting during the games and how bad we sucked and all, just out of control type of character moves that that you know at the end of the day that they're young men, right? They're young and they're still learning. But there's got to be a way that to carry yourself as that young man and growing up to be an entrepreneur or a businessman, like a lot of these guys are going to be in the NFL. And so when Sark came in, I think that was one of the greatest things that he cleaned up was the culture, right? And to that point, one of the biggest impact in the game was Wardell Mack, right? Where has Wardell Mack been all season? Well, if anyone remembers, Wardell Mack he was in the doghouse with Sark because he got in trouble on campus, right? I'm not going to put the young man's business out there, but he got in trouble, and he sat out and he learned and he developed and he did what he had to do, and when he got his opportunity, it worked. It worked out. So just that type of development and what he's done was the biggest impact. But I think my biggest impact is the O-line being able to develop and grow up, right? And man, I saw a stat and I shared it with my son. We are 135 out of 136 college teams that are penalized. All right. And what was, you've got hustle penalties and you've got pre-snap penalties and you got things that kill drives. And a lot of those penalties were holding, false starts, and just not being disciplined. And that's something we're gonna have to learn going into the next season is, hey man, we gotta play disciplined ball, especially in crucial games. And if we want, I personally believe we weren't a college football playoff team because we weren't disciplined. We didn't play the disciplined style defense or offense, and we hindered ourselves. But the O-line being able to grow up and being able to be coachable and understanding that, hey man, if we're gonna have any chance, we have a dude behind us, right? In number 16, and he's going to be someone special. We've got to do our jobs, and so the O-line, you could see them, you could see their wheels clicking, and you could see them improving game by game. So that was mine.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Was there a guy who maybe didn't get the national hype but showed up every week for this team? What do you think, Matt? You got anything?
Yeah, so when I look at it, I'm gonna stay on that defensive side of the ball, and I think it's Grayson Littleton. That's a dude that jumped in from game one, and I mean there was moments he was matched up with Jeremiah Smith as a true freshman, locking down the field.
That's scary.
And he continued to develop all year, but no one was talking about him. But those fans that truly know the Texas football and was watching, they got to see that young man develop in real time, and it's a big thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Livingston. I know, dude. I'm sad he's in the portal, but I think he was that guy. For him being as young as he is, he was a redshirt freshman. He was, Arch Manning's roommate. He was that guy that he was relied on early, right? He made some crazy catches, and no one, he's not a Biletnikoff guy. He's probably not going to. He's not that size, but he was his dude. I was talking to this with my stepfather, who's a former wide receiver coach and stuff like that. And Sark finds guys. If you're a wide receiver and you're not willing to block on the outside, you're not going to play for Texas. And I'll go into more into detail about that. But he wants the twitchy guys that are going to go out there and run the route trees. They're going to catch the ball. They're big, 6'4", whatever, 6'3", and they can run go routes and all that good stuff. But you have to be able to be physical, right? And I think Livingston was that guy. I think he was willing to do the dirty work for that wide receiver room. So Livingston was my guy.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the meat of what we're gonna talk about today was our bowl game breakdown. And again, the Longhorns come out victorious with a great win. First of all, I mean, when you got Michigan, I don't care what type of Michigan team comes, they're going to play physical, right? And I knew going into this game that front defensive line was some of the best. There's some NFL dudes that are going to be playing on Sunday on that defensive line, and it was crucial. It was crucial that Arch stayed clean. Arch was we had to establish the run game. So let's do this. Let's take a look at some of these stats. All right, and what pops at you the most?
Yeah, so one of the things that pops out to me is, we knew Michigan was going to get rushing yards. They season in and season out lead all of college football in rushing. They always produce. That is their game style. Will it change with Whittingham? Maybe. But Michigan has always been known as a ground and pound. I need to own the run game. They say it every year. Ohio State, Michigan, whoever wins the run game wins the game. And it stays pretty consistent year in and year out. But I think the thing that stands out is, our rushing total right there. Arch equated for 155 of that. That is those sound decisions. Some of them were designed quarterback runs, you could tell. But there were some that were, okay, I felt this pocket. I felt the presence. I understand what I do and don't have. I'm not the young, immature quarterback anymore that may just throw a route. Like, I need to get us some yards. And I think that truly stands out for me.
Yeah, man. We're going back to this first screen right here. Yeah, definitely. Arch did what he likes to do is he likes to stay in the pocket a little bit and trust his legs when things get tough. I think he's starting to get a good feel of that pocket presence, and 3 seconds in the pocket, he's either checking down now or he's trusting his legs. All right, so 100-yard rusher other than Trey Weiser to the season is our guy Christian Clark. Coming back from an Achilles tear injury. Golly, bless that dude, man. He has worked his tail off to get back onto the field and buried on the depth chart. Right. The other thing we talked about, 12 penalties for 103 yards, man. That's typical. That's typical football this season, right? Drive killers. We've extended plays for the opponent's offense. There was it was inadvertent, but Grayson Littleton had that face mask on Bryce Underwood that ended up. I want to say it ended up being either 3 points or even a touchdown, right? So that's just being disciplined, and I know Will Muschamp is he's gonna affect that, right? That's an eyesore to begin with, and he that's just not Will Muschamp defense type of football. So I expect that to be cleaned up. It's not going to happen overnight, but one of the things that was talked about also, in the wire network and everything like that was this is Sark, man. This is a Sark type of team. These penalties riddled teams. He took over a Longhorn program that was it was average, right? And as this program has become more of his, he's gotten worse. Right? So that's something he's going to have to figure it out. That is not going to win games. It's not going to win close games, important games, and it's not going to get you into the playoffs, man. Sorry, it's just not. What else sticks out? I tell you, man, Khalid Lockett, woo wee, that 30-yard that 30-yard touchdown run. That was amazing. There was some contact. There was some contact initiated. He fought through the contact, and he was able to separate a little bit. And just having trust in a freshman like that, man, that's going to be a building block for him going into the spring ball.
Yeah, I think the other thing that kind of stands out when you look at this stat right here, is that dime he threw in the back corner of the end zone to lock it. This is a
Yeah,
guy that's never seen the field but much of anything all season, and to
yeah,
come up with a big catch like that at a big momentum swing point of the game, I think was crucial.
yeah. So what I want to do is let's talk about this. What part of Sark's game plan did you enjoy the most in the bowl game?
Yeah, so when you look at the game plan, I think it was just getting back to Texas football, like I kind of talked about in the last podcast. Is when we play Texas football, we're a pretty balanced team, and we don't abandon the run game. And I
Mm-hmm.
think throughout this whole game, Sark put his team in a positive position on third down. If it wasn't penalty plagued, he put ourselves
Yeah,
in a good position on third down to have successful opportunities on third down because he stuck true to that run game. And because of the explosiveness we had in the run game, it allowed us to also have those pockets in the pass game, through that play action. And I think that just having that ability to stay true to your game plan and not truly have to dabble outside your game plan and stick to what you want to do, I think helps your team stay consistent and confident on the field. And I think it really showcased in this bowl game.
yeah. I think there's I think I can't think of the defensive coordinators at the top of his head, his name from Michigan, but I think there's already tendencies that Sark already knew, right? He has a great defensive line. He has some great pass rushers. So I think Sark's game plan. Again, I'm going to go back to what I originally said. You are not going to be a wide receiver in Sark's system if you cannot block, right? And I think the game plan to start off the bat was extending the run game to the wide receiver screens, right? Getting that lateral movement from left to right, and getting those defensive linemen to chase rather than pursue was important. Because now they had that they're having to run outside to where they're it was nothing was in their control, right? Whether it was a wide receiver screen out there, but looking at some of the other bowl games, I thought, look at that pick six that Ohio State had. That was a wide receiver screen. Jeremiah Smith failed to block on that play, right? And that ended up in a pick six. The only way a wide receiver screen works is not because the athleticism of the wide receiver. It's those front blockers, those wide receivers in front of them that are willing to block, right? So I thought Sark coming out with those wide receiver screens and then running on the outside, because we don't have a running back that runs in between the tackles right now. We're just not built like that. Arch Manning's built like that. Arch Manning was willing to run up the middle on some of those runs, and it showed, right? It showed his 21 mile per hour speed. But yeah, man, Sark's ability to implement the extended run game, what I call it, in the wide receiver screens was the big thing that I saw that softened up that middle and softened up that rush defense that I don't recall. Did they get a sack on us? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. They got a couple of sacks, but Arch was pretty much in command of the pocket most of the time, right? So,
yeah.
What do you think?
That's about all I have, because
Okay.
it's pretty consistent with my response.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next question. The O line really set the tone. What was your reaction to them opening things up enough to get 2 100-yard rushers? I don't think we've had a 200-yard rushers this season, have we?
No, we have not. It's been yep.
It's either been Arch or it's been Wisner, right? I don't think we've ever had 2.
Yeah, to me, I think this is a two-headed question for me and a two-headed response. It goes back to what you talked about a little bit earlier, is like, that thing that you stuck out was your O-line, and watching them get shuffled throughout the year to find the best combination, some injuries, some different things like that, to be able to grow, build, be in the right position to then dominate that trench line with those, what we know is on the other side from Michigan. I think was really impressive to watch. Their command and control of the line was really impressive. They set the edges to extend that run game to the edge. That comes through the Jack Endrys, the Washingtons. And then, not only that, but, last podcast, I said that guy I'm most interested to watch and what he does is Christian Clark. First true game time, you're the consistent dude. What do you do? And he did exactly what he needed to do. He balled out.
Yeah. I think our O-line, again, they grew up. I think they accepted the challenge, right? I think they've been hearing, how great Michigan's defensive line, and they're great. They were great. They were doing some twists. They were doing some stunts, and they were getting into the backfield. They were kind of over pursuing Arch, and I don't think they realized how fast Arch was, or how much improved he has been in the pocket. And so that kind of allowed him to open up the ways. But I think they did their job, man. They took their pride and they ran with it, right? They were able to stay physical. I'd have to look back. I know we had some holding penalties, but I don't know if they were drive killers, right? I know we had a holding penalty. It may have been we had a holding penalty that made us 1st and 20, but we were able to climb back into it. It wasn't a third down. We get a first down and then we get a holding penalty. Those are the drive killers, right? So yeah, and then being decisive, because they do a lot of zone blocking, is staying in their zone and being able to have a running back to hit those cutbacks, or those lanes that opened up, right? And being patient, right? But overall, they did great. I'm monitoring my social media right now. The big concern that I have is Trevor Gooseby, our tackle, our offensive tackle. He hasn't decided whether he's going to go. He's going to the draft or the portal, but he's a big stepping or a block for us for next year, right? And what we're going to do in the portal to strengthen that depth chart on the offensive line. So, yeah, man, good stuff. All right, let me take a break.
And I want to say,
yeah,
and I want to say, if I recall right in the game, the only holding call that we had was a drive killer. I think it was in the first half. Arch had a longer run, I think on a 2nd or 3rd down, and Ryan Wingo had the holding call and it brought it back.
Yep, it was on that left side.
It was
it was some left. Yeah. Hey, let me pause real quick. Hey, if you're watching live, if you got a question you want to ask us, feel free to chime in on our chat box. We'll be willing to answer it if we can. All right. On the defensive side, what stood out to you the most about the pass coverage overall?
I'll let you start with this one, see what your takes on it are.
Okay. Well, on the defensive side, on the overall, we couldn't stop the run, man. We couldn't stop the run. And that's the young guys, right? That's replacing seven veteran starters in a bowl game against a blue blood program, right? So I personally believe they were gashing us on the run. I think Ty Anthony Smith is going to be I think he's going to be great, but he's great in coverage. as a linebacker. He's not that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the Ant Hill that's going to fill the gap and he's going to tackle somebody. I want to say he got blown up on a block when their O line got into that second level. They were just gassing us, man, and that's a little concerning, right? I didn't get to see my Justice Terry, the star phenom, 5-star freshman from Georgia. I didn't see him in the rotation. That was kind of concerning. I don't know if he got hurt, but I was excited to see him and how he was going to do. But I still think for Colin Simmons, I think next level for him he's going to have to be that run stop. He's going to have to know when to run to pursue the quarterback and when not to, right? I think he just goes. And he kind of finds himself out of position. Some of those, he outran Bryce Underwood. Bryce Underwood is a big quarterback anyways. You're not going to arm tackle him. You're not going to arm tackle him from the top. You're going to have to wrap him up. He's a big quarterback. And so he kind of outrushed the play. And that's a little concerning to me. He's done that all season. But what has helped is having that Ant Hill be there in that gap when that quarterback does step into the pocket, right? So we're lucky that Bryce Underwood didn't trust his feet a little bit more and just said, you know what, I'm going to start giving a crap about everything and just start running like Arch did, or like what Arch said he did, right? Because Bryce Underwood would have been a problem if he really would have just scrambled his way. I think they made him more. Maybe we made him more of a passer than anything, and he got in trouble. He got in trouble with it, 3 interceptions, right? But I think overall for first-time starting freshman, first-year starting freshman, I think he did well. I think he's going to be good. He's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. For me, when you look at it, overall defense, like you said, we did struggle with the run. That's losing LaFau. LaFau is a big physical linebacker in the middle. It's the Ant Hill. It is the Ethan Burks. It is the ability to have those people that are still in that pocket presence when Simmons does over pursue or Simmons puts on a lot of pressure to make him step up. There's people there to corral. But when you look at it, I really enjoyed watching so many young, talented corners on that field just play and develop throughout the game as a whole. It started a little rocky at first, playing a little soft, but then they started to – you could see their confidence in themselves start to build throughout the game. And, when you look at it, really your only person with a lot of true game experience that was on that field was Jelani McDonald. And he's not even that much either.
Jelani was trying to knock some teeth out, man. And he kind of bounced off a running back, if I'm not mistaken. And dude, I just need you. I need you to wrap up until the rest of them come and gang tackle for you, right? You put yourself in a position where you start trying to out hit somebody. Put yourself in a position to get into a targeting penalty, right? And I think they missed the targeting penalty on us. To be honest,
they did.
So, and everybody wants the big hit, so they can get on ESPN top 10 plays of the day. But I just need you to wrap up, man. Wrap up, hold the guy until the cavalry comes, right? The swarming defense. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's becoming a trend, right? College football, NFL, it doesn't matter. It seems like your secondary, forgot how to wrap and tackle. It's just let me throw a shoulder in hopes that I either hit you hard enough that you fall or I hit you hard enough that you fumble the ball. But forgetting that, like, these dudes are built like trains, and you got to be able to.
And sometimes it works. If you can place that helmet on that ball, it's going to come out. But most time than not, those running backs are coming forward. You're force on force, man. It's kind of hard. All right, what did you think about the kickoff coverage or the special teams in general, man? What kind of grade would you give it?
I'd give it, like, when you look at our kickoff coverage, it was a D performance in my opinion. We gave up way too many explosive plays that put Michigan in a super positive position.
Yeah.
But Jeff Banks said in his post game is one of the places you typically feel the portal hit you the hardest is in your special teams, because guys that typically are playing in certain positions and know how to play that position are now shifted around and moved around, and new guys come in and they haven't worked together all season, didn't build as a team and understand people's strengths and weaknesses. So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the places the portal really hit us hard is having that ability to have those people to get down and get to that kick coverage. But I also think that comes down to our kicker going in the transfer portal halfway through the season, and we lost our ability to put it out the back of the end zone.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was like, I think that was a strategy, because I don't remember our kickoff teams. They're pretty legit about kicking into the end zone and not having a return at all.
Yeah.
This guy was giving him 5 yards a start,
Yeah.
right? They were coming. They weren't even. It's not like Michigan's kickoff return team was taking them out of the end zone. They were catching them 5-7 yards already outside the end zone, right? And so that messes up your angles, that messes up your pursuit, and to your point, yeah, man, it's next man up. It's next man up when the defense has to be, when the defense loses 7 players. Well, 7 players that are on the depth chart, those guys are on defense and special teams, so that now they're starters. Now they're having to play 2 ways. And when you get freshmen that haven't played as much and they're having to play defense and special teams, they're going to get gassed. And they got gassed, right?
Yep.
Niblett, man, Niblett, we've been living and dying by Niblett. He's a lot. Luckily, it didn't cost us too much. It wasn't part of it wasn't, in part of the game where it was costly to where we were actually gonna lose it. But I think overall special teams with him, winning the games that he did, I still think our coverage teams, special teams, have been average. I mean, Jeff Banks he's okay. He's not he's not going to win the Broyles Award or anything like that. He is guys not practicing special teams enough, not understanding their lane assignments. Gunners are now they're on the defense, right? And so you got I think Khalid Lockett, you got Jamie French, and you got Dylan McCutcheon, you got Wardell Mack. Wardell Mack used to play on special teams. Now he's he's in the nickel or he's in the star or whatever. I just think inexperience at special teams, not enough reps.
Yeah.
And that's coachable. That come with time, right? But that's where Jordan Whittington, that's where he got his claim to fame, and how he was able to get on the field with Texas, right? And he's doing it right now with the LA Rams, with the Rams. He's playing a lot of special teams, and that's where you make your mark. So yeah. All right, let's see. Let's go on to our next one. All right. Outside of Arch, who was the one player you thought really swung the game or made the biggest impact in the bowl?
Yeah, so I think it goes back to what you said earlier. Yeah, he might have got blown up in the hole one time, but I think it's Anthony Smith. Two of the picks were him.
Yeah, that dude's a missile. He is a missile. When he became a part of the rotation, even last year, I want to say he had an interception last year. Dude flies. He flies. He can move, man. And like I said, he's a great coverage linebacker. I just think he's a little undersized. And that just makes me lead to believe that Texas is going to go 2 linebackers in the portal.
When I look at it,
out.
Yeah, when I look at it, Will Muschamp coming in, I wouldn't be surprised, maybe Ty Anthony Smith gets moved to a safety. He has that ability to have coverage, but ability to wrap up and hit in open space.
Yeah.
He's not good between the tackles, but bring in two powerful linebackers, and move him up. Give him a little bit of a buffer. I don't need to put him on a corner, but
Yeah.
he has the ability to fly around the field and hang with the tight ends, hang with the running backs, things
Oh yeah.
like that nature. So move him to a free safety, move him to a strong safety, but that I foresee him potentially getting moved around in some Will Muschamp's defensive schemes.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's got the heart, man. There's no denying he's got the heart. And look at Jacob Rodriguez. He's an undersized linebacker, and they were considering him for the Heisman. I'm not saying he's a Jacob Rodriguez caliber type of guy, but Ty Anthony Smith is a dude, man, and he was heavily recruited in Texas. So he's going to be in his third year. Okay, that's normally the year you pop off at, right? He's been in the system for 3 years. He's been learning from one of the greats. He's under Ant Hill, and I want to say Ty Anthony Smith was a 5-star coming out of high school too, or a highly 4-star. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
he's not a dude that doesn't know football. He can play. He can play, and he showed it, man. Two good for him, man. 2 interceptions. Wardell Mack, like I said, playing that safety back there and getting an opportunity and making the most out of his opportunity, right? Is what's said, and he did that. And maybe he's not in the doghouse no more going into spring ball. maybe he can stay out of trouble, man. Maybe he stays out of trouble. All right, I think the future is bright. I think it's it's always good to end the season with a win, especially against a blue blood like Michigan. And I still think I'm one of those Longhorn fans that just because I'm a Longhorn fan, we're going to win the national championship every year. In my mind, and you can probably go through my social media posts. I love Arch. I know Arch is our guy. I knew he was our guy this year, but I knew he was a first-year starter. I knew that I don't think this was the all-in year. I think 2026 is the all-in year, right? And it's going to show in the portal here in the next 5 days. We're going to really know how all in we are. But I'm not a believer that Arch is only going to be here for one more year, man. I personally believe. I think we're going to have Arch for 2 more years. I think he's going to be that 5th-year senior. If you look at the Mannings, the Manning family or the Manning quarterbacks, right? First of all, he's very close to his grandfather. Okay. Second, Peyton, Eli, and his father were at least 3-year starters. Right? So that and to tell you the truth, he doesn't need to go anywhere. He said it himself. He doesn't need a transfer. He wants to be a kid, man. He still wants to be a college kid, right? And there's some value to that. I think what he's doing is of course, not everybody has his opportunities of being a Manning and his wealth and stuff like that. And there's some people that out there that have to pay, family bills for everybody. But at the same time, man, I think he's going to try to do it right. I still think he's going to have 2 more years under our belt. So the future's bright. The future's bright. Yeah. But he's not the young player that I'm most excited about heading into the 2026 season. Who would yours be?
Yeah, so I think mine is going to be it's going to be one of our incomings, and it's Diabell. And what does he learn and take from Arch and develop and start to build the culture, right? I just hope when you look at a Diabell, you look at like what Quinn Ewer said on social media the other day, which is where he almost I saw a post where it was like he almost regretted going to the transfer portal and transferring from Texas the first time, and just hopes that, and it was like a hopes and reminding these kids that, remember, it's not just all about money. What type of culture and climate and things of that nature do you want to create in an organization? And it's not just about chasing the money. Kirby Smart said it yesterday. It's like, you got to develop. His thoughts on the portal are, you got to develop.
Yeah.
You want to be on a winning team that develops you, cool. You want to go to another school and develop. He goes, because what do you got to do to get to the NFL? You got to develop. Because once you get to the NFL, you either get cut or you make a team. There's no more development at that point.
Yeah.
There are no more transfer portal.
Yep, absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear about this this 5-star athlete that we got. I can't think of his name at the top of his head. I want to say is it Barnes? Is it the kid who had 5 touchdowns in the state championship?
Yeah, I think that was his name.
Tall guy. I mean, he's just electric. Man, I think he's going to be an immediate kick returner, something. You cannot keep him off the field. This guy is electric. So interested to see about him. I'm interested to see the young wide receivers, man. The ones that played, the one that got some bold experience, some Khalid Lockett's, Dylan McCutcheons, and Jamie French, right? How do they fit into Emmett Mosley and Ryan Wingo, right? Because that's really all we have is Ryan Wingo and Emmett Mosley, and then those 3 guys that have the speed. They have the speed, right? Wingo's big, tall, physical guy. He's going to go in the slot a lot. He'll get stretched. Mosley's that all-purpose wide receiver. I think he's going to be wide receiver 1. I really do. I think if he wasn't hurt in the beginning of the season, man, we'd be looking at a 1,000-yard receiver. And Ryan Wingo was a game and a half away from being a 1,000-yard receiver. If you look at it, I want to say he had 834 yards. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm an offensive dude. I love the offense. And I know I'm not, this is the 1 year going into the spring ball. Probably not going to worry about the defense as much as I used to, right? The defense has been elite. It's been great, but I think they're going to be next level, man, with Will Muschamp and what he's, just the coaching that he's going to provide is going to make our players great, right? Let's see. See here what we got. Is there someone you think is about to take a big leap that fans maybe aren't talking about yet enough?
What do you think?
I liked what I saw out of Bo Barnes. He got that sack. He wasn't really talked about this season, of course, because we had Ant Hill. Not a whole lot of people are going to talk about other linebackers other than Ant Hill. But he, I'm interested. I kind of liked what I saw from Bo Barnes. Right, he's going to get bigger. I'm excited to see Lance Jackson coming in his second year as an edge rusher. Man, he was a all freshman SEC team, I think. I think him being on the opposite side of Colin Simmons, rotating with Colton Vasek, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem for a lot of offenses. So, yep. What you got?
Yeah, so I'll do one from each side. So defensive side of the ball is does Grayson Littleton challenge for an outside corner job and not playing in that slot no more? That's what I'm curious to see. Does he take what he learned this year and he becomes corner 1, corner 2 style play, or does it stick with your black and your things like that? And then on the offensive side of the ball, what does our run game with Christian Clark look like and our new running back coach if we don't bring someone in the portal? What does he do next year for us? What does he step up? What type of run game do we develop and create based on that? Do we stick to an outside run? Because like we said, we don't really have anything between the tackles, and you got to win between the tackles. You can't just always stretch the field. You got to win between the tackles when it's needed. So, I think he's due for a big leap for us, and we'll see.
Yeah, man. I agree. I agree. It's a we could talk to the transfer portal. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if we have to get a Jaden Ball. There's some talks. There's some talks about the kid from Louisville, Isaiah Brown, right? He's former Round Rock running back from Stony Point. Just finished his 15. Just finished his freshman year at Louisville. I want to say he was close to 1,000-yard rusher. So a little smaller. I don't, J Ball's probably the number one target, but don't be surprised if an Isaiah Brown, he just entered the transfer portal yesterday, or he announced he was going to enter the transfer portal. The sources are saying right now that there are 10 confirmed transfer portal visits that are going to be happening between now and Sunday. So buckle up, man. The transfer portal season is open. It's going to be a wild west. And right before we got online, they decided not to retain one of the defensive back coaches. I can't, off the top of my head, I don't know his name. I can't remember his name. I know I read it. We'll get that to you guys as soon as we can. But that opens up a possibility of Blake Gideon coming back to the 40 acres under Will Muschamp, where he shined under Will Muschamp. So there's that, man. There's a lot of drama coming, in the off season. As soon as we find out about the spring game, if they're going to have a spring game, I'm pretty sure they're not. They'll have a spring practice. But last year, the spring game or the spring practice, whatever you want to call it, wasn't open to the public. So that was the first time Sark has done that. And so we'll see. What else you got, Mac? What's your final thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts are, good season overall. Look forward to watching what, as we continue throughout the year, basketball, baseball do. We're usually pretty dominant, at least right now, women's basketball is crushing it. And then, baseball, we're baseball, softball, those teams are both kind of always there. But, I'm excited for the semifinals and what comes of the championship game, I've called it for a while. I don't think anyone's stopping Indiana, but they have a tough test against them with Oregon. That is not the Oregon they played early in the season.
Yeah, and Ole Miss proved it's hard to beat the same team twice, right?
Yeah.
So, like what Scagnetti said, it makes for a great movie. Makes for a great movie. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see 4 new teams in the Final Four. That's always exciting, right? So we're always going to scrutinize who should have been in, who should have been out, who should have, Tulane or the JMUs of the world should not have been allowed in. But overall, you have to play to get to the national championship, and the decision is made on the field, right? And I personally thought Georgia was hot at the right time. I thought they were the only team. My personal belief was Georgia was the only team that was disciplined and coached enough to be able to be over that hump on the bye, being winless under a bye week. But obviously, the script played different, right? So yeah, man, Indiana's I don't know if you can call it a Cinderella season. They're here. They're here. My brother-in-law is a long-time Indiana fan. And I want to say he went to Indiana, and he usually texts me when the Longhorns are playing, right? And so it's been very rare that I've texted him during the Indiana season. But I'm like, hey, man, they're looking pretty good. He's like, yeah, man, you could tell he's excited about this program on the court. And if you're an Indiana fan, you should be, man, because you are no longer considered a basketball state or a basketball program. You are a college football Final Four. So kudos to the Indiana Hoosiers for doing it. They got 2 more games left, so we'll see. All right, man. Hey, Matt, it's been awesome. It's been awesome to text you during games, rant, send my frustrations about the Longhorns, and I know you were one of the very few that I text back and forth, even when I'm in the stadium and I'm watching the game and you're in El Paso. I'm like, hey man, what is the broadcaster saying about this injury? I don't see this guy coming in. It's really cool to have that type of battle buddy to talk sports, to talk Longhorn football with, right? So thanks for being a part of this, man. And we're gonna for our viewers, we're gonna take this off season. We're going to try to come up with a script or try to come up with a structure. Maybe we'll get some portal news, a couple weeks after the portal smoke has settled, and kind of talk about who Longhorns are going to add in the portal, who left, where they landed, and then we'll talk some spring ball. What you say, Mac? Sound good?
Yeah. So, yeah, I like it. And, same to you. I appreciate having the friendship that we have that allows us to do things like this. And,
Yeah.
it's one of those things I look forward to week in and week out is just, hey, did you see this? Did you see this? Like, hey, did you hear about this? And, it's always that good conversation, so it's good times.
One last thing. I don't have the image to bring up, but one last thing I wanted to ask, if you had to circle, maybe we did this in the last podcast, if you had to circle a date on the schedule, what game would you be excited about
for next season?
What is that one game that's going to be circled on your schedule going into the 2026 season?
Yeah, so for me, it is it's LSU going to Death Valley. I have a feeling it'll be a night game. Lane Kiffin's first season with that team. What does they do? Yeah. What physicality does he bring in? And it's just a different place to play at night. And depending on how records are going into that, there's a high chance they make that a night game. So I think that's mine. I know the Tennessee back-to-back with Red River is kind of a scary window. But we talked about it in our last podcast that we could be 0-11 as long as we beat Oklahoma. We're okay. So, we always show up for that game no matter what, but both teams show up for that game. So,
yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it's an LSU game. We can always – the Oklahoma game is always big. But the LSU game, I think that's a hostile environment, man. Death Valley is brutal. And hopefully we learn from the Georgia game and the Florida game on how brutal these SEC stadiums are. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter who you root for. If it's not for their team, you're going to be singled out, right? The other one is going to be UTSA for me. It's going to be UTSA. My daughter's going there, so it's got to kind of be like the house divided. I know my wife is going to be there for my daughter, and I've got a little bit of this in me for the Roadrunner. So we'll see. We'll see that one's actually circled in. If my daughter makes the Palm Squad there, she'll be at the game with the Palm Squad. So it'll be kind of. I might have to get one of those split sweatshirts.
split sweatshirts,
yeah. But all right, Mac. Again, thank you. This is our first podcast of 2026, but it's the last one closing out the 2025 season. And then we're going to start getting into transfer portal stuff, spring practice stuff, and just kind of see what we hear around the 40 acres, right? Hey guys, I appreciate you guys. If you guys can like, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a friend about this station. If you have any desire to come on to our podcast and ask questions, or if you're an avid college football fan, by all means, man, hit us up. And just let us know. You got anything else, Matt?
Nope, I'm all hook 'em.
All right, hook 'em.